Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video is a Black Library review. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at one of the many publications brought out by Black Library and giving you our thoughts on the book, audio drama, whatever it happens to be. Now, I will say that we will try to keep this review to as spoiler free as possible, though there will obviously be points where we talk about things happening in the book. We will try to keep away from saying any of the major plot points, so you can go and read this book for yourself. We'll just give you our thoughts on whether or not we think it is something you may be interested in. So we'll use this video to instruct you on maybe is this sort of going to be a book that you would like to see. With that all said and out the way, let's get cracking on. Let's talk a little bit about the book that we have reviewed this time. And so today's review, we're going to be taking a look at A Dynasty of Monsters by David Annadale. Now, this was released late last year, and it obviously is about the Soul of Light Gravelord. You can see here. We'll get talking about the actual narrative in just a second, but I also want to give a massive shout out to Christopher Kent. I believe this is the first audiobook I've read that is read by Christopher Kent, and it was really enjoyable. You really made all the characters come alive really nicely. Every character sort of felt different. You really put on some good voices, so each character was very distinguishable from all the rest of the cast. Very well done. You made the story very enjoyable to listen to. And so, setting the scene. The story focuses around a city called the Colonnade, which is a city that sets itself high above the realm of Gur, standing atop these massive pillars. The realm of Gur, its landscapes constantly fluctuating, mountains rising and falling as the ground either eats or births them, or they fight amongst themselves. The Colonnade sits atop these massive giant pillars where it sort of can ignore all of these things below that happen on the realm of Gur around it. However, with this, the Colonnade sort of sees itself as above the realm of Gur. It sees itself as something sort of that they have beaten the bestial nature of the very realm that they are in. And so, our story really begins with a trading caravan of the Colonnade venturing out, and we see that a giant beastman herd worshipping Zinch is on its way, ready to attack the Colonnade. And the Colonnade thinks that it's safe, knowing that its, ability just to be above the ground is going to keep it safe from the worst that the beast herd can possibly throw at it. However, it is soon found out that the ground will rise like never before, and indeed the beastmen will be able to gain access to the city, almost as if they know that they're going to be able to. And it's so at this point that one of our characters decides, what if we make a pact with a local ally or a local other power, that being the Avangori vampire dynasty. And this, of course, goes sort of against everything the Colonnade all sort of speaks for. They consider themselves above the bestial nature, where this is a bunch of vampires that have completely thrown in their lot with their bestial nature. They are the most, savage and furious of all of the vampire dynasties, these monstrous vampire creatures. And so it's a really good sort of story. But let's talk about the purpose of the book. And so, the book's purpose. The book certainly has a very Beauty and the Beast feel to it, especially in particular storylines throughout the course of the book. It also has a very holier-than-thou sort of hook as well to it, with the Colonnade seeing itself as above such bestial creatures around it, and also the realm itself. Very much everything in the story is the Colonnade thinking it is better and above everything, and everything beneath it is just a tool. And it really does show sort of how, in this aspect, it really likes to show how this can be something's downfall. Like, are you truly not a monster if you consider everything beneath you and everything like worthless to you? Like, it shows monster meaning something very different throughout this story. And of course, the book definitely aims at putting a massive light on the Avangori dynasty. With Laukavai, actually, the cover art, she actually gets quite a prominent part in the book. She's probably not a main character, but at least one of the main sort of secondary characters in the book. And so really cool to see like her get a lot of time in the sun. But it really does sort of show us a lot of the bestial and savage nature of the Avangori. We go through seeing like how they transform and getting all sorts of things like that, like how they live. And showing that, yeah, there's these giant savage monsters, but they're also, you know, still the aristocratic nobility that you get from being a vampire as well, which is really cool. So we get to see sort of that merge of like beast and aristocrat all in one. Very much, as I said, the Beauty and the Beast. They are the beast, but they're still, you know, a prince that's a beast. It's a really, really cool look at them. Alrighty, and let's talk about our main characters. Now, there are probably three main characters within our story we follow the arcs of. There's obviously a bunch of different characters, and like I said, Lakavaya, while she's definitely not one of the main characters, she does have a prominent part in it. Now, let's talk about our three main characters. And first of all, we're going to talk about Kavak. Now, Kavak is one of the Avangori. He's a Vengorian lord, and he's actually a former citizen of the Colonnade as well. And even better, he is the brother of Jairus, one of our other main characters. Now, Kavak once gave up his mortality and his humanity to save the city from a previous Beastman attack. That's how he sort of became a Vengorian lord, giving up his... giving up all the things that made him a human and becoming this monstrosity that he is now. We then have Atella. Atella is a councillor within the city of the Colonnade, and she's someone who's sort of very at odds with the thing, and she's actually the councillor who suggests the alliance with the Avangori. Now, Atella is probably the main of our three by far. She's probably the one whose story we follow the most. And so she's that character that really has the relationship bridging between the Colonnade and the Avangori. And it's a really interesting relationship that she has with the two of them that really develops quite interestingly over the course of the story. And lastly, we have Jairus. This is Kavak's brother, his younger brother, who is not a Vengorian lord. He's still a mortal citizen. He thought his brother Kavak had died in the last defense of the Colonnade against the previous Zinchian horde, and he's now a bard. He tells and sings stories, and it's him who we pick up the story with in the caravan. He's sort of travelling along, making everyone's life very merry in the whole sort of training caravan, and he witnesses sort of the first attacks and ends up bringing the sort of messenger. He is a really interesting character throughout the story, and I think one of the integral parts of the story really just flow around him, as he's the one who, despite having a brother who's a Vengorian lord, and they do find that out between the two of them throughout the story, it's an interesting relationship. He is not like Estella. He is very opposed against the Vengorian lords and the Avangori. He's the exact opposite sort of side of the coin to what Atella is. And so, throughout the story, what changes about our main characters? If you don't like spoilers, you got a chance here to stop. 3, 2, 1. I've given you enough warning. Go to the next slide, otherwise. So, talking about what changes, the characters, they all see the hypocrisy of the Colonnade throughout the story. The Colonnade, like I said at the start, really does think itself as above this realm of beasts, and it has this sort of sneering, contemptuous look down upon the rest of the realm, and indeed the other inhabitants of the realm, and it sort of is its own monster in a way. And so all three of our characters really do find this in different ways. Kavak is obviously the first one to realise that the city's not worth saving, or indeed not what he wants, or he thought it was. Atella, she is probably the next one who sort of sees it for what it is, sees the treachery and the sort of contempt within the city for everything else, despite, the Avangori actually doing some okay things throughout the thing. The Avangori are very much on the morally high ground in this story. But we then have Jairus. He's sort of, take a look at it, he is the monster of hate. He becomes that monster, that hateful monster in the end that ends up really sort of derailing everything that the story has tried to push towards in certain parts. he is a monster. He's a hateful little monster, and it's his hate that turns all these other people around him into hateful monsters as well. Showing that a monster, while something might look monstrous, it doesn't necessarily seem, or doesn't necessarily mean that it is a monster. And something that, you know, might look normal can actually be a monster. It's a really, really cool look. And so, who would like this book? For me, this book is for one particular type of person. This is for a Soulblight Gravelords fan. For those who love the Soulblight Gravelords, want to learn a little bit about who these new characters are in the Avangori, and learn about the Vengorian Lords, and especially learn a little bit about Larkavite. She's not a main character, but she definitely is in there prominently, without a doubt. This is a book for you, Soulblight Gravelords fan. The book really does show the vampires as the morally correct faction in the story. If I take a look now after listening to the whole book, without a doubt, the vampires are the ones on the right side. They are the good guys, without a doubt in my mind. Which is really cool. I like books that show you and show the motives. I mean, the vampires aren't perfect, without a doubt. They're not perfect. No one in Warhammer is ever 100% flawless. Unless you're Teclis, because Teclis thinks he is, at least anyway. He's not, but he thinks he is. Yeah, this is just a really cool story of like having the vampires as the good guys. And so, in summary, this is a really well-told story. I really enjoyed this from start to finish. I can't say it's David Annadale's best work because I haven't listened to anything from him or read anything from David Annadale in quite a while. In fact, I think the last one I remember reading of David Annadale was The Death of Antagonists. So it's been a while between drinks listening to and reading something from David, but this was really enjoyable. I loved Death of Antagonists back in the day. That is the Black Dragons Space Marine battle novel, for those who don't know. A really good story, if you should go find it. But this reminded me why I enjoyed his story so much. I remember that book having just some really cool non-combatal scenes as well, which this definitely had as well. This did a really good job at showing like really nice political intrigue and non-combat scenes, showing like the stirring of mobs, showing like how courts work and all of that sort of stuff. And it also gave us a great look into some really interesting sort of themes and concepts as well. Hate, prejudice, contempt were all sort of explored in various different ways throughout the story. And it also had really, really good character growth. Like, cannot express how well done the character growth was on not just the main cast, but the side cast, the secondary characters as well, really did grow and sort of evolve and turn into different things, and you got to learn their stories as well throughout the book. This was really, really enjoyable. Definitely got to go back and check out more of David's back catalogue, because I don't think I've done it justice. There's been a bunch of stuff I've missed in time for not really reading and listening to an awful lot of Black Library stuff, so you've definitely got some ones that are interesting me on where I've got to go back and look to, but really well done. I'd give this like a solid like 8 out of 10. This was a really enjoyable fantasy novel, and while I did say, you know, probably Soulblight Gravelords fans would enjoy this, I'd recommend this almost to anyone. It was a good story. Really, really enjoyable. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And leave a comment down below and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. And lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so either via Patreon or YouTube members, and both of those are linked again down in the video's description. As a special thanks to all our Patreon and YouTube members, I'd like to give a shout out to them all. So a special thank you to our Patreons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Dynet226, and Derek. And a special shout out to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Locklorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Shelf, Ariana Airwoods, and Sean Scott. Lastly, a special thanks first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for our channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing Discord server background work for us. Thank you all for watching. Once again, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.